again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And if you were like many of the 40 million people or so who tuned into all the football this weekend, you saw what a lot of people would say is cinema. But what you also saw, in my humble opinion, is probably some of the worst quarterback play you'd ever see in the playoffs. I don't remember ever seeing such awful quarterback play like I saw this past weekend in a divisional round. Usually in the divisional round, or at this point in the season, you have the best of the best that are playing. That's why it's the most, they say it's the best weekend of football. Quarterbacks combined this weekend had the lowest completion percentage in divisional playoff history, and they threw 13 touchdown passes against 17 interceptions. That is awful, especially when you think that this is a league that is pass happy. It's a league that wants more big passes, gives the quarterback carte blanche. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't touch the wide receivers. You can't do anything to stop the passing game if you're on defense. And for quarterbacks to throw that many picks in 4 games just goes to show that the quarterback position in this league, that the quarterbacks in this league just aren't very good. It's a dumbed down league. It's just not fun to watch. And yeah, I get it. I get what the Bears and their cardiac kid, that incredible touchdown that guy threw. Let me tell you something. On defense, how do you let him that wide open? And on the other side, the Bears, on that big third down, how are you allowing Nakua, the only guy in the world that you need to stop and double team, how are you allowing him to catch that pass? Letting him that wide open to catch that pass. I don't get it. The coaching is awful. And as a result, we have a coach that is now out of a job. And that was the result of the Denver 33-30 overtime win on Buffalo. I went 2 for 2 this weekend. I was stung by this one. In the first game of the divisional round, the Broncos beat the Bills 33-30. Will Lutz booted a 23-yard game-winning field goal to send the Broncos to the AFC Championship game. There was a lot of controversy in this game. We all saw the catch that was made and then turned over. The NFL says that's a rule. It's always been there. Who knows about the NFL and their stupid rules? I mean, this is a league that they make almost $20 billion a year, they say. Can we just make the rules understandable? If one rule says the guy's knee is down, if he's in possession of the ball and the guy's knee is down, it's a catch and the play is dead. But in this play, it said that he didn't complete the play until he hit the ground. And he didn't protect the ball upon hitting the ground. Well, if his knee was down, it's to me, and you're going to have these people arguing left and right. Fact of the matter is that Sean McDermott fired today as head coach after 9 seasons, and rightfully so. He was severely outcoached by Sean Payton. Sean Payton showed you why he's a championship head coach. Because he took Bo Nix, who is in no way on the level of Josh Allen in terms of athleticism and quarterback play. Josh Allen, I have an issue with him too. Sean Payton, on that last drive to secure the field goal, put up 2 big pass plays, and he got 2 big pass interference calls. He let that boy throw the ball up there. And the first pass interference was terrible. The second one, the guy tackled him. What are you going to do? But those calls, the referees basically got Sean McDermott fired, in a sense, because that last play, it should not have been, yep, that's it, we're going to go on to the next play. They should have looked at it a lot closer than they did. They didn't even take their time. And what a lot of people are saying is, well, they didn't want to, interfere with the Seattle 49er game. So fucking what? People will go back and forth. Most people are in bars anyway. There's multiple TVs. Don't worry about that. We have to worry about the game now, the game that you're working here. Buffalo, a lot of people are saying Buffalo got robbed. You know what? Buffalo's had their major chances. This was their chance at a Super Bowl. And look, Buffalo are going to be looking for a coach. They have to be very careful who they get. Allen is going to be 30 years old next year. And I get it. Quarterbacks don't get hurt like they do and hit like they used to, and they can play into their 40s. There are teams that are on the rise in the AFC that will surpass the Bills. The Patriots already did it. Jacksonville may be one of those other teams. I know that they didn't look good in the playoffs because they were beaten up by injuries, but the Chargers, you think Harbaugh is going to stay still? There's a lot of teams that are going to be passing the Bills, either catching up to them or passing them. If you think the Chiefs are going to stay still, you're crazy. You think the Broncos are going away? You think Cincinnati's going away? Broncos quarterback Bo Nix went 26 for 46 for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns with a pick. And he got his first playoff win for the Broncos, who are now 15-3 combined with regular season and playoffs. And the team's first playoff win in nearly 10 years. Their last playoff win was in Super Bowl 50. Peyton Manning days. McDermott is fired, and I'm going to tell you something right now. As I said, they must be very, very careful who they pick as their next head coach. And if I'm the Buffalo Bills, it would be irresponsible, and incomprehensible if they do not get on the phone the second, if Indiana wins the national championship tonight, which I think they will, the second Curt Cignetti gets out of that stadium, out of Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, he must receive a phone call from the Bills. I don't care if he's made it clear that he's a college head coach and he loves Indiana, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck. You have to get this guy on the phone, and you have to tell him, we have a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl. We have a team that can win a Super Bowl. We need a head coach that can win a Super Bowl. We'll give you the keys to the castle and $25 million a year. Get your ass over here to Buffalo. We'll pay off whatever whatever buyout Indiana has. We'll pay that off, and these teams can afford that and more. You could do something that your mentor never did. You could win a championship in the NFL. You have to push for this guy. You just have to. You can't bring in a fucking coordinator. What are you going to bring in here? McCarthy? Brian Dable? You can't do it. You have to bring in a championship level head coach. And I know McCarthy won a Super Bowl, but he hasn't done shit. And that was 14, 15 years ago. And he did with Aaron Glenn. I'm sorry, Aaron Glenn. Jesus Christ. He did it with Aaron Rodgers. He's not a big-time coach. You have to get somebody who is on the Jimmy Johnson type level, Bill Walsh type level, Bill Parcells type level, that's going to come in here and immediately set the tone and the culture for your team, because their window is closing. This was the year. And Buffalo management, Buffalo front office, Buffalo ownership, they know that. That's why McDermott's on the unemployment line. And Josh Allen was awful in that game. That fumble was before halftime was inexcusable. That would be something that you would expect Drake May to do, or Purdy, or one of these guys, these younger guys. Not a veteran quarterback like Allen, who's been to the playoffs before. What the fuck was he thinking? And that field goal was the difference. They need a championship caliber coach. Signetti is that guy. I would offer him the keys to the castle. I would make the offer so ridiculous that he wouldn't be able to say no. I get that he likes Indiana. He likes it where he is. I get that. But when you're talking about dollars and cents, and he looks at that roster with that quarterback, he's going to salivate. Coaches coach to win championships. Indiana's no guarantee that he's going to win another one next year or the year before, the year after that, or year after that. They're going to kiss his ring, and he's going to get players in the NIL and all that, and the portal and all that shit. But you have a chance now. You have a chance at history to be an immortal coach. He's going to the College Football Hall of Fame. Just if he wins tonight, he's an immortal head coach, one of the greatest head coaches in college football history. It's up to another level. And that's the Bills would just have to give him that offer. It would be irresponsible if they didn't. All right. Now let's get this over with, because I almost threw up my nachos watching this game last Saturday. The first participants, unfortunately, in the NFC Championship game was decided on Saturday as the Seattle Seahawks blew out my Niners 41-6. They, of course, will face the Rams next Sunday. Kenneth Walker, a big-time running back, star of the show, star of the NFC West, rushed for 116 yards rushing, 29 receiving, 3 touchdowns, and put the Seahawks one win away from the Super Bowl in a dominating fashion. Now, Dave Lombardi, who I like, he's a journalist for the 49ers, covers 49ers, tries to equate this blowout loss, which is one of the worst losses that you'll ever see. And Kyle Shanahan, everybody talks about injuries. Oh, what a great job he did. This is the second time he's been blown out in the playoffs. And I'm just going to say this. When they had Jimmy Garoppolo, who he could not stand. He hated Garoppolo to the nth degree. They never got blown out. Ever. This is the second blowout now in the playoffs that they've suffered. When is the seat going to get a little warm for Mr. Shanahan, Mr. Scamahan? Because his offense, his team, players are dropping like flies. I mean, you got these guys running routes. Tuggs running a route, tears up I think he tore up his Achilles. His Achilles tendon. McCaffrey, stinger in the neck and shoulder. I mean, you got guys dropping like flies. What is happening here? How come these guys can't go a year without having less than 6 or 7 injuries? And I'm not talking about just banged up injuries. I'm talking about season-ending injuries. Since the year 2017, since he's taken over, the 49ers are by far the most injured NFL team in the league. By far. There's nobody even close. And they're trying to blame it on this electrical building that's near the Santa Clara training camp and all that other bullshit. Bill Parcells made it very clear years ago in an interview. They asked him, what are the three traits of what are the traits of a great head coach? And he says there's 3. A team that's well coached, doesn't commit turnovers, doesn't commit penalties, and stays healthy. You're going to get banged up injuries. That's the name of the game. But having guys season-ending injuries, losing players left and right, that's the mark of a bad team. That's a mark of bad coaching. Kyle Shanahan, yes, does he have winning season? Well, last year he had a losing season. This year was a winning season. But is he a championship head coach? He is not. He has not. He's done nothing. Sean McDermott and him are on the same level. There's nothing that separates them. Yes, has he gone to 2 Super Bowls? Yeah, he blew 10-point leads in both of them in the final quarter. That's to me is even worse. But the Niners had zero chance of winning this game. I knew it in my heart. I did not think that they would be embarrassed and mauled like they were. But Seattle hates them. And they just abused them. And now I'm going to have to live with that until next September. Not that the 49ers are going to get any type of revenge because they're just, whatever. All right, so the next game was probably the worst game that you'll ever see. It was the Pats and Texans, 28-16. The Patriots dispatched of the Texans. The Patriots reached the Final Four of the AFC, of the Conference Championship since the first time since 2018. Drake May threw 3 touchdown passes. The Patriots defense forced 5 turnovers, 4 picks of CJ Stroud, who should have been benched at halftime, and that's the big call. Why wasn't he benched? Because D'Amico Ryans is not a head coach. That's why. CJ Stroud is one of these overrated quarterbacks because of there's a certain reason why, we all know, who will never be on the level of a championship quarterback. You're never going to win with CJ Stroud, ever. He was awful last week. He was awful the week before. Not bad, awful, putrid. To the point where the Texans defense looked upset, pissed off, because this guy was just turning the ball over left and right. And the Texans should seriously, and I get he's young, but the Texans should seriously consider looking for a quarterback in the draft, not in the first round. Second, third round, look for somebody. Give this guy some competition. Don't make his job safe. Bill Walsh was a master at that. He drafted quarterbacks all the time. And he had Joe Montana, the greatest of all time. CJ Stroud is trash. He is not a big-time quarterback. He's one of these terrible quarterbacks who just, because there are other terrible quarterbacks with terrible teams and terrible coaches, he made it because he has a tremendous defense. But D'Amico Ryans is going to lose his job sooner or later because CJ Stroud is just going to implode one day. He's not the answer there. Definitely not the answer for the Texans. If I'm the Texans, call me crazy, I'm trying to get Garoppolo. He could win there. He could certainly win there. But what do I know? And now the game of the week. Now, Ben Johnson has become sort of a villain in the NFL with his, taking off his shirt and not shaking hands and doing all this other shit. Yesterday, he proved why I always say that these head coaches are not head coaches, they're offensive coordinators. In the final game of the divisional round, Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions. And one down the stretch, and one in the overtime. That was one of the worst passes that you'll ever see. And they're blaming it on DJ Moore for not hustling on the route and doing this. That ball was so underthrown. If you saw that game, that ball was so underthrown, it was pathetic. He made this crazy play at the end to put the game into overtime. Great. That's what they're known for. When the game was on the line, when the game was in the Bears' hands to win, he shit the bed. And Harrison Mevin, this big plump dude, I think he's a rookie, that pick led to his heroism in making that 42-yard field goal in that weather, in those conditions, to put the Rams in the NFC Championship game with a 20-17 win over the Bears. And they will face the Seattle Seahawks next week, which is the nightmare scenario for me come true, because one of these two teams, let's be honest, the Rams and Seahawks, That's the Super Bowl right there. One of those two teams is going to win the Super Bowl in Santa Clara on 49er ground, and that's just going to suck. I just hope it's not Seattle. We all know about Bo Nix's injury. He's out for the year. Denver are not winning the Super Bowl. We know that. Do I want to see the Patriots win? No, the Patriots defense is good, but they're Drake May hasn't been great at all. Vrabel and the defense have been excellent. May has not been very good. So the winner of the Rams-Seahawks game will be heavily favored in the Super Bowl. Heavily. And Ben Johnson, again, he had a great year. But those incredible comebacks at the end, they don't last. They don't last. Those incredible comebacks, those unreal plays at the end of games, that won't happen next year. Teams will adjust to what you're doing. Teams will adjust to how your offense runs. And then we'll find out what kind of coach Ben Johnson is. He has a lot to prove next year. Sophomore jinx. We'll see. All right. So that's the divisional round. So we have our AFC and NFC matchups next week. Denver, Pats, Seahawks, Rams. Ugh. This is going to be probably one of the worst Super Bowls you'll see. There will be no juice in this. This Super Bowl needed the Bills. They did. You needed star power, and you don't have it really. I mean, Matt Stafford really isn't star power. Sam Darnold, I don't know. Sam Darnold, I think, is from the Santa Clara area, so that might get somebody, but no. Now, if you look at the picture I have on the screen here, there's some conspiracy theories going around of the rigging of the NFL. If you notice that the four quarterbacks in the background, Williams, Purdy, Allen, and Stroud are all C.J. Stroud, or whatever his name is, are all in the back, and the four quarterbacks who won are in the front, moving forward to Santa Clara. A lot of people think it's the rigging of the NFL. I don't know. To me, the NFL is going to kill itself because of their referees. The officiating in the NFL is just absurd. You cannot have the referees decide who wins these games. You can't. You can't have these flags determining who wins these games because people aren't going to care. I could tell you, I was at a bar with a bunch of guys, and one guy said, "There's going to be a big flag here," and I says, "There's probably going to be 3, because Peyton is going to just throw. Sean Payton's going to make this kid throw the ball up in the air and just try to buy a flag, not 1, but 2. 2 big ones. Now, one of them." The second one was pass interference, but that first one was was a terrible, terrible call, awful call, as I said before. Now tonight we got the national championship game. Listen, Miami are a big, physical team, great head coach, but unfortunately, I think that they're running into a historic machine in Indiana. Indiana has a quarterback that has thrown 5 incompletions in 2 games. I mean, their average margin of victory, I think, is like 22 points or 23 points a game. They are on historic levels good for 1 year. Historically good. I think Miami will keep this thing close by halftime, but I think Cignetti has figured out how to win these games even before stepping on the field. He has the better team. Miami has the better players, has the better talent. Ohio State had the better talent, and Indiana beat them. Indiana are on a rampage roll, and I think Indiana will win the national championship tonight. I think it's going to be I mean, 11 points isn't close. They're 8-point favorites. Of course, I do not condone gambling, but I think Indiana will cover and will keep their double-digit winning streak going. 35-24 Miami. Be safe out there if you're going to watch the game in any type of bars or anything like that. There are a lot of nuts out there. I hope you enjoy the football. We have a crazy week coming up. Trump and Greenland and all this other garbage. We'll look into all that, and then we'll get into the national. We'll look at the national championship game tomorrow, and then of course the conference championship games next week. We'll get into that. Thanks again for watching, and there's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful, my friends. Remember, Satan is always busy. And be a man and have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later.